So, starting checklists can feel sort of overwhelming when you come into the checklist section and realize there's nothing here. It's like, well, what do I do? So, the for before you actually get started on checklist sections, you should really go to um, a high level overview of your process and then sort of take that high level overview and break it down into the specific tasks that you need to get completed, and those tasks are what's the higher level process is going to help you organize the checklist sections. So as an example, I like to use our high level overview, and we're going to work with the um, child placement process. So this is the foster child kind of general child case process. It might look exactly like yours and it might be sort of similar. There's a referral, cases has some intake. Usually that's series of documentation, maybe a meeting with that youth. Then you're looking at matching, right, with families for that child, and you'll ask the child and ask the family if this is a good match, make a determination as caseworker, and then you'll once a good match is found, then you'll have a placement. Placement could lead to reunification or adoption, post placement reports, other final documentation reports, and then the case is closed, right? So this could be kind of a real quick and dirty, um, kind of simple way to organize the process. Within each of these stages, there's likely to be several activities happening. So we're going to look at the placement process specifically in our example. Um, but within this is an example for a family for their home study process. It's we don't just do the home study, right? Like we send a welcome packet, we have an invoice, we collect a fee, we have a series of contractual documents and then documents that support our understanding and getting to know the family. There might be a profile or safe questionnaires. You'll do background checks, you'll collect identification, financial statements, 1040s, medical histories, information about each person who lives in the home. He'll assign a caseworker or a social worker to go and interview the family and write the final home study after they've reviewed all this documentation. There's just can literally be like hundreds of steps within it. And these are the items that are going to be included on your checklist. If you need this workflow document, we're happy to provide it to you. It's within our onboarding, but if you need it, we'll happily give it to you if you send an email to support@inreachsolutions.com. But each of these items are going to become checklist items. This is a great worksheet because it can say allow you to assign who is actually responsible. You can get you kind of high level. Is it our team or the client? And then for each person and the team, you might specify that this is the accounting team, or it's the office staff, or it's the social worker directly, or somebody's approving something, so it's the director, things like that. And then we've got a kind of high level overview of like, what's the objective? Are we looking to enter just a date, the date that a home visit took place? Or are we looking to download for the family to download a document, upload something? Or do we want them to just upload a birth certificate to us? Or do we want them to complete a form like the SAFE questionnaire or a family profile or um, a document about who are their references? And then we've also got another column here to allow us for notifications. And this is just to help assign when are we going to look to auto actions first so that we can have Sam do some of the work for our team. But when you get into checklists, again, there's like nothing here. So the first thing you're going to do is add an item. And the case stages help you because within this section right here, you're telling Sam what section are we going to build. I love starting with the case stages because we could really have one called placement, the child, and then we're gonna start setting what is our checklist items that are going to be within the placement. So once the placement happens, what are all the things that we do? And so you do want to be really aware of what table you're selecting. right? If we're talking about a physical placement of a child, if there's a potential for them to have another placement, you need to think, do we want to do these tasks again? So I don't really have the things that I want to do in here. So I'm going to create a new field. I'm again going to put it under the placement, and I'm going to say I need an initial clothing inventory. I could set a response time of like 3 days from the placement start date. And that'll make sure that we have a due date associated with this task. I could set it as a specific employee, right? Or I could set it by the role. So I could say it's the ongoing social worker. We could have a caseworker. We could have whoever, whatever job title handles this for your organization. That's what we're looking for here. And then we can select whether or not this is a downloadable, and like if somebody is going to upload this document for us, like if we have a PDF, or we could create a form. And if we're doing a form, there's an assumption that somebody is completing this form online. And so we could choose a form to use. So I don't really have forms here. So we'll just say that we're going to um, create a document field and create a new document type. So when that document is uploaded into this field, a document is document is created that is also called initial clothing inventory. So we know at the beginning of a placement, we have this clothing. The child comes with this clothing and this gear, and then we can press save. We might also want to do, I'll just do one more. So I get an opportunity to add the placement again. I know that the fields don't exist, so I'm going to create a new field, and I am going to do a home safety inspection. And now this is not a document, so I am going to avoid the document sections. I am going to set it as um, ongoing social worker again, but it's not a document. We're going to just make sure that the social worker dates this as complete. Okay. And so now the checklist configuration looks exactly like you might see in other videos where we kind of start in the middle. We now have a section, and it is starting to be built out. I could certainly add another section, right? So I could add a section called referral, and I will go over here and put in the referral date. Okay, because that's going to be our first item. I'm able to section the items because referral will come before the placement. And I could certainly reorganize the items within this placement as well. Last thing that I'll show you is how to trigger this to be on the checklist for a specific client. So we're going to go to this little toggle here, or this button here, gear shift, and we're going to tell Sam when to start it. And so this is going to be happening when we have a placement start date. We can set the record title, and this will tell us like it's for that specific location. So if from the child's side, they're placed in like an interim care and then a final placement location, this will label family A or family B. And this part takes a little bit of time to save. And actually, it doesn't like doing both things at the same time, which is just fine. I'm just going to redo this right here, click the start date, press save here. And now our placement checklist, every time we add a placement, this placement checklist will open. Thanks for joining.